We learned yesterday that the NFL sees domestic violence as a 2-game suspension, but letting some air out of the ball means 4-game suspension. 6 days ago, a report came out about the NFC Championship game and the Deflategate scandal that occurred with the Patriots and the Colts. Following that report, yesterday, the NFL came out with its punishment against the Patriots. Tom Brady is getting a 4-game suspension with no pay. The team is also being fined $1 million, as well as 2 draft picks. 1 first-round pick next year and a 4th-round pick in 2017. Now, the team is still not accepting any guilt in this, and Tom Brady's agent came out and said that he will be appealing this 4-game suspension, and that if that hearing is neutral and unbiased, that report that came out last week will be exposed as an incredibly frail exercise in fact-checking and logic. So that is something that we will have to continue to watch in the next few weeks as to how the other side of the argument rebuts what is happening right now, because the Patriots and all the players are saying that report that came out is very one-sided, and that the NFL shouldn't use that as a final verdict. Now, with that 4-game suspension, the NFL's vice president of the league came out and wrote a letter to Tom Brady, and he said that with that report, the league feels like that Tom Brady knew about Deflategate, that he had to have at least participated, maybe not told him to go fill up the balls, but he had knowledge of it, and that is why the NFL feels like he deserves a 4-game suspension, is because they feel like the facts are all there, that he at least knew and then denied it. Now, in my opinion, the facts are there and they'll continue to investigate and hopefully everything evens out. But how I started this video and the thing that I see as a big problem is how all over the place the NFL is with punishment and with how they deal with problems that occur with the players and with the life that they live and on the court and off the court issues. Now, the NFL doesn't really have any guidelines as to how they deal with specific incidences. And we see that in a huge scale with the difference between Ray Rice's 2-game suspension last season for domestic violence, where there was a video of him actually doing some pretty inappropriate things to his wife, and Tom Brady being found, according to this report, to know that the balls were underinflated to the league standards. That causes a lot of fans and players and coaches to question how the NFL really takes these cases on and what basis they use the incident to equal a punishment. If you were to say to yourself, like I said at the beginning of the video, if I hit my wife, I'm going to get a 2-game suspension. But if I mess with equipment during a game, that's twice as bad as domestic violence. And I don't think anyone would agree with that. I don't even think the league officials would agree that domestic violence is half as bad as messing with a football during a game. Now, the argument that I heard against the suspension of Tom Brady is that he messed with the product, what was actually shown on TV, what the fans get to see, and that Ray Rice was messing with the brand, that it was off the field and it wasn't a on-field action. Now, in my opinion, that is just crazy talk, because that's saying that the league officials care more about the product and what fans get to see than lives. And I seriously do not think that is how the fans or that the officials truly feel. Now, if you want to say that, that's one way to justify their action, but I think that's just, it would be sad if that were true. Now, the league got so much flack for this 2-game suspension that they did go back and they reevaluated the situation and suspended Ray Rice for the rest of the season. Now, this is good and bad at the same time. It's good because they went back and they said to themselves, you know what, this was a stupid decision. It was much worse than a 2-game suspension, and they re-suspended him for even longer. The problem with that is Ray Rice then turned around and said, you can't do that. You already gave me a suspension, and you can't go back and resuspend me for even longer. And he actually won. Now, it's great that they did go back and make the rules a lot more harsh, and from now on, domestic violence will be taken much more seriously, with a 6-game suspension at least for the first offense, and then a 1-year suspension at least, if not a lifetime ban for the second offense. That's great. The problem is they're so inconsistent that it caused doubt and confusion with the fans and with the players and coaches. And that's where the NFL is going wrong, is they have no consistency. They can't consistently make a punishment. And if you look at all the other major sports in this country with the NBA, NHL, and professional baseball, they're way more consistent and they stick to their punishments. Baseball is great with, if you do steroids, you get this many games, no question. And very rarely does an appeal work. They're very strict and they evaluate and they look into these cases very strongly. And then they're transparent. Transparency is key in American sports. You have so many fans and so much internet access and reporters that if you're transparent and you come out and say, this is what we found, this is why we suspended him for this long, then the fans have a lot more answers, a lot more questions answered. And it's a lot less, hoopla when they come out with suspensions. It seems like every single time the NFL comes out with a suspension, there's a huge question is why. And it took a ton of uproar for Roger Goodell to come out with the Ray Rice situation and to talk about why they did what they did. It took weeks. And even then, it was very limited on what he actually exposed and what they knew. And it got him in a lot more trouble because they did actually know more than they said they knew. So I want you guys to comment below what you think. Is the NFL doing a poor job of being consistent? How can they improve? How can Roger Goodell be a better commissioner when it comes to punishment and enforcing the rules? Also, comment below on what you think of the whole situation of Tom Brady. Do you think a 4-game suspension is the right amount? Do you think that now that the NFL is starting to get their punishments on track, that this is about a 4-game suspension, or do you think it's too severe? Tell me what you think. So that's going to do it for the Sports Rant. Don't forget to comment below and tell me what you think, and to subscribe so that we can have this conversation about sports more often. All right, we'll see you next time.